right, so what makes this session unique, ladies and gentlemen, is that we've managed to capture all the various elements within the conversational commerce ecosystem under one panel. So we've got the RCS evangelist, that's Google out there. We've got an enterprise, who's actually where the entire story starts. So we've got Kotak 811 here. We've got the platform enabler, which is .go, which is there. Another technology major in this space, that's GTS Tech Labs. We can't do without the operator, of course, and for that, we've got Dwarka. And finally, an important member of the ecosystem who stitches it all together, which is the CPaaS player, which is Infobip. So thank you, Nipun. So with that, we'll start the session. I think I'll take my seat as well. So starting with the first and foremost bit about conversational commerce, so we'll actually we'll drive it through the value chain. So I'll start on the enterprise front. So Krishna, you've been looking at Kotak 811. As I understand, Kotak 811 is a zero balance offering which you've come out, and that's guys, I think the mic's not working, if you can just check.
No.
So Kotak 811 is sort of one of the strongest digital arms of Kotak, if I can say so. How has the journey been for you in engaging with customers? What are the various conversational commerce platforms that you're using? How are you mixing up the entire play? What do you see in this space?
811 is a zero balance account and it's completely digital. So this product is almost 5-6 years old. Currently, we have millions of consumers. We have to engage these consumers. So we know for sure these consumers are what type of channels they use. They engage. So we know that for sure email. There are consumers who are engaged in SMS, WhatsApp. So we make sure that this loyalty to the consumer, the way in which they are using WhatsApp and engagement stuff, which we see through that, if we know that this consumer engages at 4 o'clock in the early morning, we send a mail out at early morning so that's the first mailbox. So everywhere the engagement and triggers have been set so that we can engage this consumer better. And is it a cross-sell, is it an adoption? We want to make sure that the engagement, the interface has been taken care very well.
And from a channel mix play, what do you see as the trends coming up? I mean, at one time they say that this entire commerce was driven by websites. Then came the era of apps. And today we are in an era of conversation. So how has that journey been for you? I think your brand has come about relatively more recently. So I think you've been quite ahead of that learning curve already. But what has that meant for you?
So consumers are everywhere. So the comfortness of the consumer, right? So if he is comfortable in SMS, he is comfortable in SMS. But broadly, we have seen the consumer use app more. They want to engage more. And what are the, how to make the app better engagement? That we also know that consumer wants, one click bill pay,
Right.
one click. So that's what the consumer wants also, right? We engage the consumer through different CPaaS channels to make sure that this consumer is engaged well. Stickiness is there with us because, every bank is doing the same bit, but we try to make sure that the stickiness has been built more.
Right. And I'll shoot to you, Nipun, because you are also within this play looking into multi-channel approach, as they call it, an omni-channel approach. So from a telemarketing perspective or as a CPaaS provider perspective, how do you see this mix? We'll give due credit that Google is also here, so you can focus maybe starting with RCS. So we're going to ask that how has the RCS journey been for Infobip? And over and above that, if I look at into India, the general accepted practice is that WhatsApp is a major channel of choice already, because I guess it's been in the play much earlier. So how do you see these various channels talking to each other?
So as Krishna mentioned it, I think he started off with the right point is it's the consumer's choice. It's how the consumer behavior has changed over the years. Today the consumer has their preference of channel. They have their preference of time on what time, what channel they would like to receive their communication from their brand. Be it a bank, be it any retail company, be it anyone who's trying to engage with the customer. So engagement is the key word here. RBM, as RCS, as you mentioned, has been quite a channel that we used extensively last year. A lot of brands engaged with RCS because the consumers were engaging with those RCS messages. It's a rich form of communication. It's still like SMS. So it's through the SMS channel on the SMS inbox that the consumer is receiving the message, but with the richness of a OTT sort of a platform, right? So you can get images and videos and streaming and links that can be clicked within the app itself without leaving the app. So that I feel was the success of RCS that drove it so well. And thanks to Vodafone and .go and now Google also relaunching this year, we have our hopes set on RCS being a big channel for for our brands and for our customers. As the panel is talking about conversational commerce. Now, what is conversational commerce is exactly that. It's about, marketing, engagement, re-engagement, and then even, maybe support over the channel of choice again. So we see these channels as, the medium, again, as you correctly use the word, omni-channel. So Infobip, is an omni-channel player. A lot of us here in the industry do provide omni-channel platforms where, brands can engage with their consumers on those platforms depending, as Krishna covered it very correctly, exactly at the time they want to, on the channel they want to. And today's day, the consumer is they want a personalized communication.
Right.
So you want to receive a message, related to your behavior as a consumer, as a customer. So, what kind of searches you were doing earlier, or how you, let's say, sent a request to the brand asking for some information, or to the bank, let's say, asking for some financial product.
Right.
So you need to then engage with them more in a personalized manner through those
Channel of choice, which is there, and I think, in fact, if we interlace this with some of the other sessions, we spoke about consent and preferences earlier as well. And I think India especially is making a lot of efforts to not only focus on consent, but also preferences, which will help a consumer get communication on their channel of choice. But zeroing on to Abhinav, guys, it's very difficult to get Google on a panel. So, Abhinav, I'm going to make the most of this opportunity. So, we had Nipun say about RCS being natively available within Android, right? But we keep getting conflicting news from the market. We hear about Google Messages being the default native app on handsets. And then you talk about the OnePluses and Oppos and Vivos having their own native app. So how has that play been for Google? How do you see RCS and RBM panning out? It'll be great if we can know some numbers. We understand that RBM was launched last year, then India was the only market where I think you guys had to pause it, and successfully you relaunched it. So what have been the learnings from this entire journey, and what does the future hold for RCS and RBM?
Hello. Mike's work. Some of the questions are out of syllabus, but yeah.
That was the point.
I will try and answer these. So in terms of what we're trying to do,
Yeah.
so in terms of the channels which we have for business communication, there are two of those. One is RBM and one is GBM. RBM is RCS business messaging, and then there is Google business messaging. I handle RBM for India, and I'm going to speak on that. From a perspective of RCS business messaging, what we've tried to do is to upgrade the native SMS experience by adding security, verification, allowing for richer content, allowing for conversations to happen, and more importantly, allowing for analytics, right? Because when brands are sending messages to users, they need to know how a user is responding. And
Right.
I think the analytics part is really important, right? In terms of if I speak from a global perspective, we've seen a lot of traction over the past year, where we've seen major telcos such as Deutsche Telekom and the Vodafone Group also recently moving to the Google platform. It is helpful if there is homogeneity in the platform itself,
Right.
globally, so that you can offer a consistent user experience. We've seen good adoption and encouraging adoption in European and Latin markets. The focus of brands in some of those markets has just been to upgrade native experiences, the basic SMS, by adding a layer of verification,
Right.
right, which gives trust to people. Right? And the fact that it adds branding, right? So you're able to add branding as a brand. People will see your brand on the SMS delivered, and they see a verified tick, which gives them confidence that this is from a trusted brand.
Right.
So that is important. We've seen a lot of preference for that and a lot of value attributable to that. From a perspective of, you were speaking about messaging, right?
Right. The native app?
The handset ecosystem.
Yes, exactly.
From a handset ecosystem, we've been working, there are different models which we follow with operators across the world. For India, I think we've been working with all OEMs, and with the majority of them, you will see the Google messaging app as the default app.
Right.
And as we had, I mean, the only number I can tell you about is globally, last year we had announced we had crossed 500 million, right?
Okay.
And
500 million
globally installed Android message users.
Android. All right.
And I think we will announce the next landmark very soon.
All right.
Sometime this year. That's all the number I can share with you, right? From a perspective of our experience last year, we had been running this service on a beta mode, and we came across scenarios where user preferences were not being respected. People were being aggressively messaged, right? And we took some of the learnings from that. And I'll not speak much about that. I would rather speak about things which we've done
Right.
over the last 1 year. I think we focused on 3 things. The first area we focus is on user control, as in the user should be in charge of whether they want to receive messages from a brand or not. So we made it easier for users to block and report brands if they don't like that brand.
Right.
And we've built in spam controls, right? And I mean, if there is a pattern to a higher spam rate from a certain brand, we could allow for certain actions.
Uh-huh.
The second one is about business rules. When we had, we realized that we had to build much more clarity on the business rules around what people can do and what people cannot. And so in our new AUP and TOS, we made that very, very clear so that there's no subjectivity to that, right? So we put in business rules and we've implemented them at a platform level. And the third one, more importantly, and I think which is most important, is that the service was on a beta mode, and we've brought in a commercial framework so that it can be charged for, so that once a service is chargeable, right, there is more responsibility in terms of what users send.
All right. So maybe I'll just shift gears for a second to Surinder. You know, you've been part of this RCS, RBM journey globally. You know, .go has been one of the successful, what should I say, map providers. Would that be a correct?
Yeah.
All right. So going by what Abhinav has mentioned, you know, about how there was a phase 1 and phase 2, how has your experience from a platform provider been in India market and globally? And what do you see coming out within the RBMCs? Let's put it this way, what is it that you feel is needed to make RBM a success in India?
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, RCS is kind of a unique channel. You know, it is a rich channel, just like other OTT. But the difference being that it's sort of not owned by one player like Meta or Viber,
Right.
but it's really, you know, kind of
Like an all-inclusive.
Google, but
Right.
it's an operator channel. So it
Right.
requires Google, it requires operator.
Right.
And then when we kind of entered this space, we saw a need for a platform provider that kind of brought this together.
Right.
To basically help operators monetize RBM, you know, provide whatever is the missing pieces so that, you know, whether it comes to billing, onboarding processes, verification, you know, all of those processes, consent management, et cetera. And, you know, of course, Google has also invested a lot within the last year, particularly to kind of respond to what happened in India and bringing
Right.
that commercial model. Our journey with RCS actually started, you know, a couple of years back. We were the first ones to launch RBM in a country in Nigeria, you know, more than 2 years back. And then kind of we built upon that to kind of further develop the system. And we are now kind of powering the platform that is helping us kind of relaunch.
Right.
And I think the thing that we've seen is that it's not just a matter of having the raw channel and the APIs.
Uh-huh.
You need a lot of these tools and services. And being a new channel, in any provider, in any aggregator, any CPaaS player, will take time to build all of those capabilities.
Right.
There's a need to for multiple players to build those tools and kind of share it. And we focus basically, as I said, we're part of Gupshup, which is looking at an omni-channel strategy, but as .go, our focus is purely on RCS and making sure that we support all players in the ecosystem,
Right.
To make kind of RCS successful.
Perfect. And Dwarka, zeroing in onto you. So we also have Airtel and Jio in the audience today. But we've seen Vodafone is the first one in the market. You have the first mover advantage. You've partnered with the entire RCS RBM ecosystem and launched it in India. So what made Vodafone take the plunge first? Why have you bitten the bullet of RCS and RBM? And what has your experience been like? It's actually a cannonball. We are still calling it a bullet.
Yeah, good question, Anurag. See, we always believed that telcos have got a lot of role to play in conversational space.
Right.
Now, there is ample research that states that 80% of the consumers would like to interact with their brands using conversational medium.
Absolutely.
Now, messaging is a very good effective channel, right? Nothing beats SMS as a channel in terms of pure effectiveness.
Mm-hmm.
But we saw potential that there was an opportunity for brands to interact with their customers in terms of conversations, leading it to an e-commerce, leading it to a revenue generation opportunity.
Right.
And there's always a trend which you just highlighted that you start with website,
Right.
then it went to apps, then they started light apps,
Right.
and now they are saying
Conversation.
conversation.
No,
So
absolutely.
wherever it makes sense that we see there is a consumer benefit, we will go for it.
Right.
And RBM was an easy fit. We were working with all the ecosystem providers and partners. We see a good opportunity for it. I don't see this cannibalizing the existing SMS because the use cases are
Right.
totally different from what use cases are being run on the SMS channel.
Right.
So there is a opportunity, and we have one player who has demonstrated in this market,
Uh-huh.
and very successfully also,
Absolutely.
but if I have to admit. And the awareness and adoption of that particular channel is so strong that we had to be there.
Right.
So we can't let it be an uncontested space. And as telcos, we can offer certain personalization insights. So we work with the CPaaS providers
Right.
and try to personalize the RCS communication. And
Right.
now all of us have got analytics team, and AI ML is the most used, abused, or whatever application you want to say.
Right.
So we will personalize, and we will do the use cases, and we see that it's a good business opportunity.
And I guess till the other operators don't come in, it is your uncontested space. So
But it's just a matter.
enjoy the run. Yes. I guess it's a matter of time, which means, Abhinav, do we see the possibilities of other Indian opcos also coming into the play soon? Or is that something you cannot comment much upon?
I can't comment, but I'm very hopeful. Yeah.
You're hopeful. All right. Just to the audience, we have 20 minutes left in the panel. We'd like to keep the last 5 minutes if anybody has any pressing questions which you guys would like to bring onto the panel. But moving on, you were talking about use cases. So, Avnish, shifting gears a bit, we are talking conversational commerce. It's not just RCS, RBM. In general, you're running GTS Technology Labs, Tech Labs, which is all about offering a whole host of platforms, whether it's blockchain, it's CPaaS, it's firewall, the entire gamut of services and platforms which the ecosystem is looking for. If you look at the use cases for conversational commerce, right? I believe you also have CPaaS Plus, which is your in-house developed omni-channel offering. So what have been some of the major use cases for conversational commerce that you see at the moment and coming out in the future?
So that's a good question.
In fact, guys, if you can just make the volume a bit higher of the mics, just picking up the volume better. Yeah.
So make any service profitable or the workable, there are push and pull is required. There's a push from the Google and the ecosystem partners like Vodafone and other telcos, but the last mile still has to be stitched.
Mm-hmm.
And the last mile is the value addition, which will bring in the use cases.
Right.
And that will bring the pull. because this pull will also come from the awareness, which will come from Vodafone or the large partners in the ecosystem who will advertise it like the other partner or the other WhatsApp kind of partner. And this push and pull will popularize this and make it to the next level.
All right.
This will also actually put too much of onus onto the technology partners like us, whereby these channels provides me enough and more data points. And when they provide me more enough data points, it gives me ability to personalize the message, know the customer better, know the insights better, and then use this for the enterprise benefit so that they can target well and get the benefit out. So this is a kind of onus which is coming to enterprise. At the same time, enterprise also has a kind of task to do. At this point of time, this channel cannot be, controlled by the manual, stuff. What I mean by manual is the data analytics solutions. It has to be a CDP at the back.
Okay.
That CDP is a CDP plus the intelligence platform, which
Just
is
to be
AI.
clear to everyone, CDP, you mean customer data platform?
It's a customer
Alright.
data platform,
Right.
which actually creates the profile of the customer in a
Right.
360-degree profile of the customer, and then keeps on enriching the data as and when the conversation happens. So this is the need of an hour. An enterprise should buy these or install this in their system, so that they can benefit out of this, the rich channel, what is available now to use, and personalize their communication and increase their commerce.
And Krishna,
Commerce.
sorry, yeah.
So because the conversation increases the commerce, and then this conversation is being driven by the insights of the consumers.
Right.
And that's the engagement.
Perfect. And Krishna, asking you from the enterprise perspective, Avnish mentioned about some of the aspects which enterprises should be doing. So do you guys actively have a CDP in play? And you also have all the other ecosystem members all together at one go. This is your chance to air your dirty laundry of what are the issues you're facing and what is it that you expect from the ecosystem to do better?
So CDP, of course, we started this, but it's a long journey, right? It's
Right.
not just one day you build the CDP. So we are in progress. We are using CDP for activation and other stuff in a very smaller bit. But there is more to go, firstly. But we require more ecosystem also in place to manage that sort of a large data to do that, right?
Right.
More interfaces required, more intelligence is required, right? So there are the few things which we are looking at it. And, and in fact, RCS, I want to just take it up one bit.
Yep.
This, when it stopped, before that we were using it. Broadly, we have seen the consumer, when they send an SMS and an RCS, the difference which we have seen is 2x, the engagement is what? 2.5%, 2x or 2x plus the
Right.
engagement was. Just that now it is good, just the commercial has to be viable for the enterprises. That need to be done.
And has RCS or RBM significantly helped in your acquisition journey since that's a direct KRA? So how has that been for you?
Yeah, that is good. I'll say okay. I'll not so too good, but okay. I think it's
Right.
started, then it should be.
So Nipun, Infobip looks at multiple enterprises. You know, Kotak is one example, and thank you again to Infobip for even helping bring Kotak onto the panel. From a global perspective, or at least from an Indian enterprise perspective, how do you see these various channels in terms of their efficacy in conversion? So, you know, there was a 2x number which was thrown here. What is your general understanding of the efficacy of the various channels?
So I think, yeah, it's basically now these digital channels that are, the way to go for brands globally. And,
Right.
and of course, in India also that is picking up in a big way. And of course, we have the early adopters like Kotak 811 who've been digital in their
Right,
journey.
right.
And they continue to, engage with their customers in a digital manner. We did an analysis of our messaging over the last 2 years. Okay, so like 2021 over 2022, 23 is too early. We saw like a 68% jump in the adoption of these digital channels on,
As compared to traditional channels, all right?
SMS, of course, is the larger, traffic generator. But in terms of, engagement with customers and how the brands are using these channels like a WhatsApp or an RCS or an OTT, an in-app push, those kind of things. The jump has been tremendous. Let's say first half of 21 to first half of 22 alone. In terms of adoption, I think you mentioned in the beginning that we are one of the players, and us CPaaS providers are the people who bring the ecosystem together. So also what really works is that we build use cases. We try to get, success stories from different verticals, from different industry verticals, from different industry types, and let's say similar industry verticals from other regions, and we share our success stories and try to, engage with our enterprise customers to help them understand what is a good practice, what is a good, successful practice in other markets, and that's how we try to help them, achieve their end goal, which is, engaging with the customer, and, as Avnish said, is about also then getting that commerce part of it out, to get the actual transaction done, where you engage with the customer to the level that he goes into making a purchase, or to, signing up for an account, or whatever that the end call to action is.
All right. So, Abhinav, I'm going to break this flow and ask you a point-blank question. So in India, I think we all know that today WhatsApp has, been way more popular at the moment, given the lead time since it's been operational in the conversational commerce space. Beyond the aspect that RBM will be relatively more native to the user within their handset, what additional benefits, features, functionalities can the common man of India expect to experience from a conversational commerce perspective in RBM versus WhatsApp?
I think, let me answer from you. You asked a question for a common man. Right?
Exactly.
Now if you're talking about an end user, or you're talking about a brand?
The end user is the common man. So I'm not talking about the brand, the end user.
Right. So from an end user's perspective, I think it's not about the channel. I think it's more about whether the use case which is being sent to the user is safe, helpful, and relevant or not. Right.
Okay.
You did mention about the point of it being a native experience or not. Apart from the part that it's native, well, people have been used to getting messages and promotions on that native app.
Right.
If you talk about just some simple benefits, like you can have an SMS fallback because it's an upgrade to SMS.
Right.
You could use SMS opt-ins, which you've done for messaging earlier.
Right.
So you don't have a whole process of going about collecting opt-ins again. One could argue, I would not go on a feature-wise comparison on what is rich and what is not.
Right.
But I think if you look from a standalone perspective, from an RBM perspective, I would look at three things. It's secure.
Okay.
It's verified, right? And it is being verified by, it will be verified by one of the carrier entities in the country who are known brands.
Right.
And it's going to be richer, right? The second one is it is allowing for conversations, right? And I would just say from a brand's perspective, I will not comment on what is the percentage increase you're getting on response rates, something like that, right?
Right.
It's very subjective, but I can say that there's a huge range, right, which I've seen, right? You spoke about 68%, you spoke about 2x. I've seen much larger rates and much lower rates as well, right?
Okay.
But what's important is that the platform is giving you analytics to decide whether the campaign is useful or not. And it is not only telling you at a read rate or a response rate. If you have multiple elements in your campaign, right, you can see how people are interacting with every element and you can tweak them, right?
Okay.
And over a period of time, basis how users are responding, right, you can tweak your campaign to increase it, right?
Got it.
So I would not compare, but I would say that it allows you all the tools which you need.
Right.
And analytics is core.
So I guess driving loyalty and building trust, that's 2 out of the 3 pillars of this conversation. And I think that's where you're saying that RBM will play its role in building that.
It has to be, see, we have to respect the user.
Right.
We have to respect opt-ins, otherwise you'll not get read rates.
Right.
It has to be relevant, otherwise beyond the first time people will not pick it up.
Right.
And if you don't get response rates, well, as a brand, people will not invest as well. So, it provides you all the tools to do the right thing.
Right, right. And I think not having a clear opt-in policy in the first run is what brought about some level of chaos. You needn't comment on that.
I, the policy was fairly clear, but I think we've just built in more controls so that we have much.
Perfect. Perfect. And Dwarka, steering towards you, there is that third element of monetizing opportunities, right? So again, VIL has taken up the plunge to work with the RBM ecosystem. How do you see as an operator? Because while you said that, you don't see cannibalization, and again, I'm going beyond RCS RBM. I'm saying in general, you as an operator are also having to deal with your subscribers using other conversational commerce platforms, such as WhatsApp, for example, or even other ones which are in use. So how do you see the monetizing capabilities of the entire gamut from an operator perspective? How do you see Vodafone being able to monetize the current ecosystem?
Yeah. See, like what Abhinav just said, that it has to have some value in it. Okay, that's the basic premise under which you launch a new channel and you hope that it will start monetizing it. So there is a security aspect of RBM that's pretty clear. And it makes things very easy for the end user.
Right.
Now the conventional SMS that you get, it has a 6-digit header. Whereas here you can see the full name of the enterprise,
Right.
the logo with a banner. So there is a definite trust. There is a message also which we attach, verified by we, verified.
Right.
Now when it comes to monetization, again I said, it solely depends on the use case.
Right.
And brands will be willing to pay if it meets the desired objective. For example, if they can get the user to click on their app through a message, get some new users into the fold, or more importantly, where I feel that this makes a very strong use case is in travel sector, travel and tourism sector. Earlier, you just used to send a message and then hope that the user will log on to one of the travel portals
Right.
and then do the inquiries. Whereas here, once you get the message, he clicks on that. He is able to navigate what options he wants, which city he wants to visit, which hotel he wants to book.
Right.
And you complete the transaction.
Right.
Obviously, we feel that the brand will pay for it. And our commercials are attractively priced, considering where the SMS is and where Meta has priced its offering. And I see a case in 1 or 2 years down the line where brands will be able to do a revenue share with the aggregators. So it's a win-win system for all,
Right.
where they say that, okay, based on RCS, RBM, we were able to generate some X amount of
Right.
revenue through
Right.
e-commerce or through whatever purchase decisions that happened.
Right.
So it's a pretty much.
Krishna, be ready. Huh? I mean, there is already a soft coax into the direction that you'll have to share a part of your revenue pie with that part of the ecosystem. That's why I asked if you have something you want to ask them right now, because they're going to be coming in for your revenues. So if you have an ask from an enterprise perspective, that's something that the ecosystem is missing out on, which they should be doing. So, you're happy to bring in.
I think it's very early stage. So until we use more, we will understand
right.
that bit more.
Perfect, perfect. So, guys, as promised, we are left with 5 minutes. I hope the audience had an engaging conversational session out here, but we throw it open to the audience. I've also run out of questions, actually. So please come to my rescue. Is there anybody out here who would like to ask something? Okay, we have 2 hands. Okay, let's start with Bhanu. We have Bhanu, who's the Chief Operating Officer of TubeLight Communications. So Bhanu has something to ask. Guys, I think there's a mic here. Yeah, this works. This works. Anu, James. Thank you.
Being there, ask directly.
Go on.
Very, very, very quick one.
Yeah.
So for Abhinav, any hope for the Apple onboarding anytime soon?
Okay, so Bhanu's question is that the quintessential challenge of RBM, that it doesn't exist today within the Apple ecosystem, so much so that there was a time when Tim Cook brought in a story where Google tried to push that, my grandmother can't access my message over rich messaging, so do something. So the response was, the response to Tim Cook was, or rather the response by Tim Cook was that please ask her to buy an Apple. So is there any plans or anything coming up within the collaboration between Apple for rich messaging?
I mean, these are questions which I don't have answer to, but of course we continue to try and encourage them.
Right.
Ecosystem. You could perhaps refer to If you go to Twitter, we had a campaign last year around #GetTheMessage.
Exactly.
And we try to engage with them. I mean, beyond that, I honestly don't know where we are on that.
All right. So, Bhanu, wait and watch till something comes up. All right. Anybody else in the audience? That side. We've got Alok there. Okay. Alok is from GTS Tech Labs. And yeah, guys, can somebody get the mic to Alok?
I have a question. Ali here.
Okay. Ali, can you just wait on? We just started. So next is you in line. So we'll take Alok Maurya's question and then to Ali from Carix. Yeah, Alok, your question is towards?
Yeah, it's again towards the panel and mostly towards Abhinav. Now you have two similar kind of product, RBM and GBM. Not too similar, but does the same job. What is then the future of GBM? You are going to slowly move ahead with RBM, or how the story will unfold? Because there are two very similar kind of activities going on now.
Abhinav.
I think we've had different starting points for both the products in terms of the ingress mechanisms, if you look at them. But apart from that, we've been looking at GBM and we made some changes in terms of go-to-market and teams. I can discuss that offline with you.
All right. And one final question from Ali Asghar Bhopalwala of Carix.
Thank you for the opportunity, Anurag. My question was very similar towards the entire ecosystem, Abhinav. And as we talk about more commerce, what other aspects of Google are going to get covered? Because, as of now, brands want to reach the users on this channel and they want engagement. For some engagement is clicks, for some engagement is the purchase of the end product. So how is going to complement to the entire Google ecosystem, like Google search or shopping, or there are a lot of things can happen, and together, if possible, how other partners can come into the ecosystem and solve or help you stitch this piece?
I would respond to this in a manner. This is still a very new product. I would respond to this in a manner that it is still a very new product. Right? It's still in its nascent stage. We're working on a number of features. We've launched with a new commercial model and we've launched a new framework as well. And we are setting in processes in place to ensure that things are running smoothly. I think as we go ahead, some of the things you spoke about will come with time. But as of now, it's just focusing and getting the basics right.
Future is exciting then.
All right, we still happen to have time for one more burning question. Okay, so I can see there is Ankit Jain of Kalira. The last question goes to you, Ankit. You do realize that Google, I mean, so many people have so many things to ask Google. Literally you guys are about asking. So you guys should be more present out here in the industry, so we can ask you questions rather than go to google.com.
My office is next door.
All right, open invitation from Google to visit the BKC office. Thank you so much. After party is at Google BKC today. Yes, Ankit.
Okay. Again, this is for Google and Abhinav largely.
Ask Google.
I just wanted to understand, is there any aspect or functionality around, the language, multilingual and the dialects, kind of a conversational messaging, embedded into the whole RBM ecosystem? Any roadmap for that? Because as much as the ecosystem on the D2C side is growing on the multilingual aspect, so if you could touch upon that.
I don't have a ready answer for you. I know I don't have a concrete answer for you on this one. I know there are certain capabilities in place, but I can get back to you, Ankit. We are in
Sure,
touch.
no problem. Thank you.
All right. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we wrap up our session on conversational commerce, building trust, loyalty, and monetizing opportunities. Thank you once again to this wonderful panel, and we look forward to having you in further sessions. Thank you so much.